This is the Note Closer Show, where you get the latest developments in distressed note investing and learn the secrets of how you can control millions of dollars worth of property for pennies on the dollar. Get educated and entertained by someone who has closed thousands of deals and lives to support you in achieving the same. Now, here's your host, CEO of We Close Notes, Scott Carson.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closer Show. As always, Scott Carson, excited to be here with you today. Even more excited to have our good buddy, Merrill Chandler from the Get Fundable .com podcast and Get Fundable out there as well. He's out there, the credit messiah out there, sharing his credit Bible and helping Americans get their profiles fundable on the residential and the commercial side of things. And we were talking before rock and rolling with this episode about some of the different numbers that are out there, are kind of scaring people out there. But hey, welcome, Merrill. Wake up, buddy. Hey, I know you're a little fried from teaching and being such a very sought after speaker right now with everything going on. Huh?
Well, thank you. Yeah, there's a little saturation going on because not only we're almost every other day we're pelting all of our social with full-blown Facebook Lives, updates, podcasts that are triggering because there's a lot of questions going on out there about how do I prepare for a recession. We call it a soft landing, right? I did a 3-day masterclass, literally 3-day masterclass, just recorded it, announced it. We came up with it 2 days earlier about how to thrive, how to survive, and how to recover, right? How to actually parachute down rather than crash and burn, for if the worst case scenarios hit. But some of these numbers just keep portending to be the worst case scenario, right? And yet, as you and I were just talking here in Salt Lake City, appreciation in properties is still going up and still driving, and every asking price is being topped with the offers that are being accepted are over asking price. So there's mixed signals going on out there. So let's take a look at these numbers and kind of give our interpretation. I think this is a great thing for our listeners because they need to know that it's all's not right in River City.
Yeah, that is the truth. Well, that's the thing is, same thing here in Austin, Texas. See, appreciation still going up. People are like, oh, it's still selling stuff. And we all know numbers can't keep going up like it is. And I think they're propped up artificially, I think, because we're still in the limbo phase. Everybody's modified things. Everybody's still kind of figuring out where everything is at on stuff. But let's talk with the first number that we talked about, the forbearance numbers, where Inman News came out Friday and talked about basically 9.7, just under 10% of all mortgages.
10% of mortgage holders or mortgagees are filing for forbearance and deferment. Yeah, this is crazy. I last week I also attended a web class on forbearance agreements by some of the biggest servicers out there, and you know what their number one concern was, because it's basically topping shop. This is me talking shop. This is me fly on the wall. I don't belong there. I'm a borrower facing guy, and I attend all the lender facing events out there. And you know what their number one thing is? How to handle the crush of the short term, the 90-day to the 6 months, but every single one of them are planning permanent. I have a flow chart here that shows how to prepare for permanent forbearance. Now, they're sitting here. So there's I'm looking at one that says on 7/1 is when the 6-month forbearance agreement is if they give a window. They have a second 6-month forbearance agreement on January 1st, right? So they're modeling that, and they actually said the words perpetual. Now, we all know that no one's going to give everybody a free mortgage, but I think that the lenders, now this is just me speculating, but you know this market better than I do. I don't think the lenders want to have entire neighborhoods empty of inventory that take 5+ years to rent out or sell off again, right? They don't want to go the expense of, especially for seconds, the expense of going through the foreclosure process compared to the yield on just barely making their money back, and some of them didn't get their money back. I don't know. Where are you on this one? Because I just know they're looking to keep people in the houses so that when it bounces back, they can start paying them again instead of a landlord or a new real estate investor. This is bizarre.
What I've been doing is I've been doing some research here, looking back at previous deals that I bought and sold here in Austin market, comparing it the last couple episodes. One house that was originally bought for $125, now worth $265 over the last 8-10 years, and looking at where the markets were. So what happened 12 years ago, we had an area in South Austin called Del Valley, was a newer market. Same thing in other places east of Austin called Manor. Nice builders went in there, but they were very heavily laden with the $500 to $1,000 down kind of programs. Okay, new builds, don't need to have decent credit, but get in here. And then they were first payment defaults, or when the taxes reappraised or the values were reappraised, when the tax values came in, it was not just for the lot, it was for the improvements. Now there were defaults for that. And literally high schools shut down because of the foreclosure. The neighborhoods were thinking, I think of Detroit and some areas, right? They're vacant. Yep. So banks don't want to lose that asset. They want to protect it. So I think they're taking the bite for 6 to 12 months, waiting to see, okay, government's going to have to bail us out like they did last time. We were
notice how the
hat in hand to the government.
Notice how the bailout is appearing this time instead of going to the bank itself. And remember the big complaint from The Big Short and all that is that all these CEOs and all the C-level corporations or executives are all getting these hundreds of millions of dollars in an organization for bonuses. They're right. This time they're putting it into the tenants' hands, right? They're saying, we'll pay you for their payments to keep them in their houses rather than give you the money. So it's a whole different strategy. The new normal here is radically different. In fact, one of the things that was just stunning to me in this example was that if they're working so hard because a bounce back, what are they thinking? Another $2 trillion in PPP and other types of stimulus. They're trying to get the money to either to the bank on behalf of the borrower or to the borrower so that they can continue to make the payments. One of the things that's a big deal here in Salt Lake City and other places in the country is that I had one of my business associates come to me and he goes, he's been looking for 3 weeks for a particular type of marketer in his business. And he goes, I haven't found somebody that's quality and hireable because this $600 extra a week plus unemployment benefits, they're making more money in unemployment benefits than they are. Nobody until that cow is empty of milk. He said, I haven't found somebody for 3 weeks now. You would think with all these layoffs that I'd be a marketer. Hell, that should be an easy hire, right? So this is bizarre. We have all kinds of double binds going on, right?
Well, and that's the thing is I was just talking to somebody, don't know how you can't keep printing money with no backing behind it, with no real income. $3 trillion and only 200 million of it going to the PPP plan.
Yeah.
Because somebody else is getting paid off there. You look at also things I look at the mortgage market, looking at China has divulged themselves of most of the mortgage investments that they had in beforehand. Whereas most of the time, 10 years ago, China owned half the mortgages basically.
Yeah,
behind
they were in a buy mode before. Now they're divesting. There is, well, like you said, inflation looks is we haven't thought of inflation for a decade and a half for a very long time, right? And now with all of this currency in play, everything's getting cheaper and easier, and so that just forces that's just going to force us, at least the interest rates, to counteract. Now I don't know when, because we're at what's our next number? 25%, 25% unemployment. Now let's bring some perspective to these numbers. So that there's a whole span of plus or minus 15%, depending on who you ask and what they're measuring. So everybody uses the benchmark of 25% unemployment in the 30s, right? When we're after the big crash,
yep,
causing the Great Depression. Well, I don't think we're ever going to be able to, unless it is truly the zombie apocalypse, we're never going to go back to that level, because there was no communication capabilities. There's no rebounding capabilities. There was no the Fed was what, 12 years old at this point?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a brand new organization with no monetary policy to speak of, or at least no monetary experience to speak of, right? And so now, if we're sitting at this what do you call it, the crux, 25% is a big deal now, but it's not as hurtful or impactful compared to the what do you call it, the small nature or notion of what the country was back in the 30s.
Right.
That was devastating, because you have a quarter of the population that are in soup lines, and it's all agrarian. It isn't just manufacturing. I mean, it was just a mess. Here we have manufacturing, service industry. Now we're all telecommuting. You know, I mean, my entire team's been working from home for a year. They're so low overhead when it comes to just the cost of employment. So 25%. So the numbers that I read were 15% actually on the that were actually receiving benefits. Over 30 plus million, 33 million had
36
filed.
as of Friday, actually.
Oh, 36 million had filed but not gotten benefits, right? And then, so again, the message for this episode is that two opposite things exist. We have appreciation in properties and no and 33% or 15 to 25 validated unemployment, right? That are receiving benefits. So this is no bueno. This is crazy, right? There was one other number that we talked. Yeah, exactly, right?
We talked about basically the 10% forbearance agreements.
Yes, 10% forbearance agreements, 30% or 25% unemployment, and there was one other one that was like, anyway. So
go ahead. Sorry, I was simply saying. 50% of small business owners not expecting to rebound.
Yes,
that was it.
That was the other one. 50% of small business owners in a poll are not expecting to rebound for a couple of reasons, at least. One, that small business, it takes a long time to build reputation and your product offering and your connections, et cetera, et cetera. If you are squeezed out by either the employment cost, the loss of job, the loss of opportunity, if you're squeezed out, the people who were your customers have to go somewhere else. And if they're going somewhere else during this period, we have to literally start over our businesses. I know it for cleaners, window washers, small business owners, restaurants. Everybody, if it was the place to go for a particular restaurant, of course the chef's not going to change. Things are not going to change. Hang on. Things are not going to be horrible, but you're going to get into new habits or new opportunities, or this new normal becomes completely different. And so small business it does not bode well. And one of the, in small business, there was, and I think I read, it may have been the same one that you had read, where and the other one was that women-owned and minority-owned businesses have been like 900-fold underserved by the PPP and the EIDL offerings for a multitude of reasons. That didn't know about it, didn't learn about it, or when their banking institutions, smaller banks, didn't even get funded until the second round of funding for small businesses, local businesses, the community businesses, or the community banks and small banks. They didn't even get funded with their money until the second round, right? So we missed so the demographic usually follows where the community is, or where everybody's how they're available. Everybody isn't with Wells Fargo and Bank of America, right? So that also portends bad juju, because entrepreneurial spirit of this country, small business drives this thing. Mm-hmm. And what happens when you kind of gut the you gut the entrepreneurial spirit, because the infrastructure is
so I have an idea, Merrill. This is just kind of like, so let's say I'm small business owner going through hell right now. I've got my small business shut down or operating at a reduced amount of capability. So I'm barely keeping the lights on. I'm basically just trying to keep my staff going. All right. But everything is through my entities. Would now be a good time to start a clean LLC, to start running some things through that. So in 6 to 12 months, you've got some history of some sort in case you do have to go the bad route with your existing LLC?
Yes. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because what is a brilliant opportunity is that, remember, a QFE. Okay, will you push that right back there? There you go. Perfect. Speaking of my window washing crew just came through. I can look out beautiful windows right now. So he had to get. All right. So, but the thing is a qualified fundable entity does not have to be one of your deal entities or deal businesses, right? If you're a real estate investor, if you own 14 different, let's say you own 14 franchises, right? If though you have to close shop on some of those franchises, the way we teach it in the boot camp, you don't make those the fundable entity. You have a separate entity that is fundable. So even right now, it is brilliant to follow what you said, is open up a new LLC, start aging traffic, take revenue from a cash that you're using in this one, run it through and run it back, pay all your bills where it's supposed to, but run deposits through this other one to start building a second relationship with a new entity. That's actually brilliant, Scott. Well done.
Just trying to keep things alive. And this would also make sense to go and get some line of credit on the business side of things, if you could, with like a secured credit card, where the account with the bank, if they offer that up for your business.
Yep. Now, I'm going to tell you something. This is bizarre. We came into March with $327,000+ in client fundings, right? You know what the number was for April? Now, we're already in COVID. COVID's full on. But by the end of April, $1.2 million in client fundings. Yeah. So
whoa.
Yeah. So here's the thing, guys. They are the lenders are lending, but I just want to briefly, I could pull up my. So think of a target, right? In prosperous times, hitting the target means you're fundable or somewhat fundable, right? But you're in the outer rings. Our process, the way we teach in the book and the boot camp and the mastermind, are all designed to make your scatter chart super tight. So every one of your approvals are super highly fundable approvals. Well, in the times that are coming right now, the target gets smaller, but you're so dialed on the tight scatter chart that you're still taking down money. $1.2 million this in the month of April because fundable people still get business credit lines, business loans, the things that are, oh, and by the way, I'm having a blast with Wells Fargo. I hope Wells Fargo watches, because their manual review So I have a $50,000 business line of credit, right? And with Wells Fargo. So I keep charging it off, using the money to rotate through my other my other accounts, and then I pay it back. And they keep asking me, do I want a credit limit increase? So we're talking about making it 75 now, but I charge it up, move those funds to the other accounts, just like you're talking about starting a new LLC. Drive a minimum daily balance in there so you can start getting depositor credit for, and then paying it back off. I'm sitting here going, you know what? And that very usage model is going to prevent them, is going to discourage them from dropping my limits, because the model I use shows that I'm training the algorithm to support my to support that. It would not support their business model to shut down my business model. Now, here's what's interesting. The new normal, I wasn't using my credit line before last January and December, et cetera, because I didn't need to. I wasn't trying to protect it because it was going to stay open forever. Now, one of the strategies that we teach is to roll it in hard times and start building other funding relationship with other banks by running accounts, money through those accounts. But I'm teaching Wells Fargo that, hey, this is a good borrower, and we're going to keep this open because his track record is to pay it back. I wouldn't have never connected those dots without the damn recession prospect, the tidal wave. So I'm sitting here learning, like I always do. I connect the dots and make new banking friends as a result of trying to protect my own line. Who would have thunk, right? So that I'm glad you brought that up.
Very nice. I love it. I love it. I think a lot of people can listen out there. I mean, don't get me wrong. People are like, they may not be thinking clearly, because the fact is they're so emotionally tied into things. And I know a lot of people, if you're going through foreclosure, going through financial difficulties, it's a hard thing to see the bigger picture. And it's even a harder thing to take action sometimes and that stuff. And that's when you really need, hey, get off your butt, go down to the bank, jump on your Secretary of State, call our buddies at Laughlin & Associates, set up a new LLC.
Yeah.
Get some credit going, go on a payment plan for there, because they'll business credit that way for you.
Yep. The whole model is intelligently used. So you have to hit those underwriting criteria, right? You want to hit the triggers that says, oh, this is a valuable card holder or credit line holder. So no, I think I love our little monthly check-ins, because we'll be able to talk the second week of June and go, so were we so full of crap in May, or were we right on? Right? I don't mind being right about trying to help and protect your listeners on how to thrive and if nothing else, at least survive during this time, because even though the appreciation is still going on, I don't know how long it's going to go. And if people aren't using their money, if people are taking advantage of forbearance agreements, to kind of wrap that up back to where we started, then they've got cash flow to do other things, so I tell everybody, guys, if you don't have to take the forbearance agreement, don't. They're planning this through next year. So forbearance is not going to go away. It is not. So don't use it until you absolutely have to. This isn't a cash flow mechanism. If you use it that way, you're going to burn your relationships with the lenders. But hold it in your back pocket, absolutely, because if that's the end game, then we got to use it when we do. I just know these guys are planning on permanent forbearance agreements until everything rebounds. I don't think they want the inventory. They do, there's.
Well, if you look at a couple of things, the market loss in the commercial real estate space, commercial mortgage-backed securities lost $50 billion in the first 2 weeks. It dropped to zero. My email's been flooded with mezzanine lenders and hard money lenders looking to sell off their newly originated stuff the last 6 months off their books if they can, because they don't believe the values are going to stick there. You also look at different MLS listings and don't look at the amount sold, look at the amount of properties that had a price reduction and seeing things like that. Harris County is a big indicator. Dallas County, big indicator. Huge amount of price reductions over the last 60 days as people are trying to get rid of.
And notice those are, so it's very geographic centric. It isn't affecting Austin, but Dallas is already down, right? Yep. So there are opportunities. That's what we're telling everybody is get your credit lines up, get your game in play, because there will be opportunities. How many people ran to Indiana in the last 10 years because it was Ohio, because it was fire sailing back there, right? Yep. So there's going to be crazy opportunities. Just keep honor your relationship with your lenders and keep those keep those in super tight and in play, because if we do, then we're going to be able to we're literally going to be able to leverage this for the future. And if they know that we honor when super tight scatter chart and the target is small and our fundability hits those underwriting bullseyes, when the target gets bigger, we're going to be preferential or preferred customers for all these lenders.
I actually had an investor or a bank. I reached out to a bank asset manager. They've had a client for 56 years at the community bank. 56 years, never missed a payment, been on time. They don't want his business anymore. He's paid on time for 20 years. Doesn't want his business anymore because his numbers don't match up with what the bank wants to go long term. Automated that's automated flaw right there, right?
Yeah, that is where we're headed, right? My client Tennessee Tom had 7 years banking relationship, but the other thing happened. The second he started implementing the right modeling, they're like, oh, I like this guy, right? So after 7 years, the same 20,000 were being reported into his or being deposited into his account every month, but never offered any credit instruments. So that's the exact same case that this guy's, but he's been doing it for 50 plus years and isn't hitting any of the right markers for a lender to go, this is awesome. Love these guys. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. So exactly. When's the next fundability boot camp, Merrill?
Boot camp is, we're staying pretty faithful. It's the 6th and 7th of June. And then July is going to be the second week because of the 4th of July weekend. So
there you go.
So everybody come. The boot camp is never the same. The deck is even different. I have these cool stick figures. I even engage the artist to actually make some custom stick figures for optimization. So it's pretty trick, but but I want to illustrate, I want to keep reminding people that now's the time, right? Now is the time to push the button and make something happen, because the opportunities are only going to grow from here. I really believe that.
Exactly. Yeah, you guys can register by going to getfundablebootcamp.com. It's getfundablebootcamp.com like it always is. Or you can see out what else they have going on at getfundable.com.
Yeah, make sure you get a copy of my the new F word. Whoa, there it is. The new F word as well. I'm doing a reading twice a week. I'm on chapter like 9 now. Every week I read a couple of chapters and just share the highlights and everything. So join us on getfundable.com, guys. Love it. Love it. Thank you, Scott. Always a pleasure to be on your show. And I love our discussions because there's so much insight between our experience. There's dots to connect from the things you know, things I know, and then all of a sudden we got magic going on. So thank you.
That's right, Magic Man. Love you being on here too there. All right, guys and gals, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Note Closer Show. Take heed. Look into the numbers. Don't get so scared. Realize there's opportunities everywhere. You just got to know where to go and when to act. Now would be the time to act versus being so scared. If you find yourself being scared and nervous, hey, don't sit there, because decisions will be made with or without you taking action. So make decisions, take control of your destiny, and we'll see you all at the top, everybody.